stated by my fellow classmates, we are here at the USS Hornet Memorial in order to commemorate the lives of the American servicemen that selflessly acted over 70 years ago and conducted the first attack on the Japanese by America in World War II. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked the American fleet at Pearl Harbor. The goal of this attack was to crush American morale and keep America out of the Japanese colonization effort going on in the Pacific at the time. These Doolittle raids are a testament that these goals were not met by the Japanese, and actually, America's will to fight was increased after the attack on Pearl Harbor. After December 7th, the Japanese felt impenetrable in their homeland. Most of their troops were spread across their colonies in the Pacific, and the Japanese homeland was left virtually defenseless. America knew about this vulnerability and wanted to exploit it. However, they did not possess the ability to launch an attack close enough to the Japanese homeland. This led to an ingenuitive plan to place 16 B-25 light bombers on 2 aircraft carriers, park them 400 miles off the coast of Tokyo, launch an attack, and land the bombers in Chinese-controlled Manchuria. This required heavy modifications done to the B-25 in order to take off from a much shorter runway distance than normally needed. A few of these modifications included removing the extremely heavy 50 caliber gun system from the tail package of the B-25 and replacing it with a dummy gun system. Also removing an auxiliary radio system mounted in the middle of the B-25 and an extremely heavy high-altitude bombing site, which was replaced with a low-altitude iron sight nicknamed the Mark Twain. The attacks were scheduled to take place on 18 April 1942, 400 miles off the coast of Tokyo. However, 650 miles off the coast of Tokyo, the carrier fleet was spotted by a small Japanese picket ship. The picket ship was sunk, but not before it radioed back to the Japanese mainland and warned of imminent attack. This forced the attack to take place 10 hours early and 200 miles short of its scheduled departure. The raid that was conducted hit 12 military and industrial targets in Tokyo and its surrounding cities. Also, 3 Japanese fighter planes were shot down by the bombers. Not a single bomber was shot down over Japan and only encountered minimal resistance. Since the attack had to be launched much earlier than its original scheduled time, the bombers were forced to crash land short of their original landing spots. 15 of the bombers landed in rice paddies around Japanese-controlled China, while 1 made it to a Russian coastal town. Almost no sustainable damage was inflicted on the Japanese, and many of the bombs missed their target. Jimmy Doolittle felt like the attack was such a failure that he would be court-martialed when he made his way back to America. However, with no actual damage done to the Japanese, a high amount of damage was done to the Japanese ego and morale. This led the Japanese to be completely embarrassed by the attack and go on a vendetta against the American carrier fleet that launched the attack. This led the Japanese to attack the American carriers in the Battle of Midway, and eventually led to the demise of the entire Japanese carrier fleet in the Japanese Navy. You can say that the attack on Tokyo by the Doolittle raid started a continuum that eventually led to the entirety of the Japanese military to be destroyed and the war to be won by the Americans in the Pacific.